me and 99 other people were suddenly isekai'd into a poverty game, where the winner receives a cash prize of up to 1 million RMB. But the rule is, you only have 50 RMB to survive for 7 days. If it were you, how would you survive? As for a pro-level poor guy like me, from the very first glance at the rules, I quickly found a loophole in this game. The system's electronic voice rang out, "Welcome 100 players to the poverty game. Starting capital is 50 RMB. The goal is to survive in the game for 7 days. The winner receives a 1 million RMB prize. Overspending, death, or leaving the game area will all be considered disqualification. Those disqualified will be burdened with a 1 million RMB debt." The voice paused for a moment, carrying a bone-chilling cunningness. "Are there any cowards who want to back out now? You've got to be kidding. In 7 days, even if I just drink plain water, I could hold out?" Next to me, a fat guy in a cheap t-shirt chimed in, "With 50 RMB buying buns and pickles. Eating sparingly is more than enough. Let's risk it all to turn this bicycle into a supercar." Only a fool would back out now. The crowd buzzed with chatter. They were drowning in blind excitement. Very well. Not a single one of the 100 players withdrew. The game rules are now officially in effect. Players will not be allowed to leave. 100 players have been deployed to their positions. Welcome to the Lost Airport. Good luck to you all. After a blinding flash of white light, I found myself standing in an extremely modern airport. The airport was so vast, the end was nowhere in sight, with crowds of people bustling back and forth. It was impossible to distinguish who was a player and who was an NPC. And in my game account, there sat a measly 50 RMB, starting capital. At the same time, the interface displayed 3 stats: hunger, thirst, and stamina. Right now, all 3 stats are at their maximum. I spot a convenience store right across from me, so I should head over to check the prices. I walk over to check the price tags. As I stand in front of the refrigerator, a terrified cry mixed with a sobbing voice rings out. A high-pitched shriek as if they're about to burst into tears. What the hell? 15 RMB for a bottle of water. Is this a robbery? I step closer, scanning the shelves as my heart sinks to the bottom. A small pastry is 53 RMB. A sandwich is 40 RMB. Steamed buns are 10 RMB each, and even a pack of soda crackers. The cheapest ones cost a whopping 18 RMB. With a daily budget of just over 7 RMB, you can't even afford half a bottle of water. The fat guy looks at me, his face showing clear despair. Number 66 were cooked. It's over. This money is only enough for 3 bottles of water. At this rate, we'll be dead within a week. I let out a sigh. The system truly never does charity. I knew things wouldn't be that simple. The other players also swarmed toward the convenience store. Everyone's face is filled with horror and panic. The fat guy pulls me aside and says, "Number 66, I'm player number 44, Wu Qi. I'm a player. Let's form an alliance. If anyone bullies you, I'll beat them up." Then he shows off a few wrestling moves. Looks like his limbs are quite flexible. Before clarifying the game rules, I don't want to team up with anyone, so I politely decline and leave the convenience store alone. First, I need to find some free water. I find a water dispenser outside the restroom. Nearby, I pick up 2 empty bottles people threw away, give them a thorough rinse, and then fill both bottles with water. The water issue is solved. Total cost 0 RMB. Next up is the energy recharge phase. I see a coffee shop, and on the condiment counter, there are sugar packets, creamer pods, and brown sugar neatly arranged. Sugar is a vital source of energy. These sugar packets could be a lifesaver during emergencies. To prevent low blood sugar, I kept an expressionless face and walked over, acting completely nonchalant as if nothing was wrong. I moved naturally like I was in my own home, taking over a dozen sugar packets and some creamer pods. Over a dozen sugar packets and creamer pods in a flash were tucked away in my pocket. The whole process took less than 2 seconds. Afterward, I casually strolled out of the coffee shop, went to a secluded corner, tore open 2 sugar packets and dumped them all into my mouth. The intense sweetness exploded instantly in my mouth, bringing a magical sense of satisfaction. Sugar sorted. Cost 0 RMB. The airport air conditioning was blasting at full power, cold as an ice cellar. Perhaps the system did this on purpose. The colder it is, the faster energy is consumed. And my thin clothes couldn't block this chill, so I had to keep moving to stay warm. I rummaged through the trash cans and found a blanket left behind by a passenger after they got off their flight. As time went on, the gnawing hunger grew more intense. 8 p.m. I scanned a bakery, and inside the glass display, several unsold loaves emitted a provocative, fragrant barley scent. My stomach was growling loudly. It's time to hunt for discounts. Based on the sharp intuition of a professional poor person, at this hour, the bakery will definitely slash prices. Sliced bread, originally 30 RMB, is now only 15. That's still not enough. If I wait until closing, the price might be even cheaper, maybe even free. Every cent saved counts. That is the key to survival. I sat down on the bench opposite the bakery, closing my eyes halfway to rest. Right then, from all the directions, about 20 to 30 figures suddenly appeared. They rushed into the bakery like madmen. The tiny little shop was surrounded in an instant. Amidst the chaos, I saw someone waving a wad of cash. Bread battlefield. People are scrambling to pay just to grab something. In the chaos, money is being tossed around everywhere. Some even reached out and directly snatched the shelves clean. The shop staff are panicking, screaming for everyone to get in line. A line useless, no one is listening. In just a few short minutes, all the bread on the shelves, including the loaf of sliced bread I had my eye on, was completely wiped out. Those who managed to buy bread had looks on their faces, as lucky as if they had just returned from the dead. Those who couldn't buy any were beating their chests and stomping, their eyes filled with despair. All around, it's filled with the curses of other players, the moans and sighs of total hopelessness. At this point, my hunger stat has dropped by 70%. I take a deep breath, trying to suppress the cramps in my stomach, and move away from the chaotic crowd. Looking up at the high ceiling of the airport, at the giant flight information display board, the red flight statuses are constantly flickering. Bright red lines of text about canceled flights keep appearing. The red status cycle just keeps scrolling. It's time for me to show my true strength. In this airport, at this very place, players can move freely anywhere. Players can travel to every location, even without a plane ticket, even if you don't have a ticket in hand. Despite not owning a single ticket, you can still head straight to the departure gate. You can still reach the departure gate without a boarding pass to enter the waiting area, without any documents. I quickly scanned the large screen, aiming precisely at the flight delay notifications, printed in bold red. The flights delayed for more than 6 hours are exactly the prey I'm targeting. So I drag my trembling legs straight toward a departure gate. A group of people has gathered there. The air is thick with the smell of sweat and impatience. Gate 102 has been delayed for 8 hours. The stranded passengers are swarming around the ground staff member. She's a young girl, her face flushed red from the stress, the spit from the angry. Crowd is practically spraying right in her face. What kind of business is your airline running? You guys are beyond useless. My child is crying from hunger over here. Are you going to settle this or what? Compensation. There must be compensation. Cough up the money for me right now. The scene was pure chaos. The staff member's voice was completely drowned out by the sea of screaming. She was so flustered, she looked ready to burst into tears. I suddenly realized this was a golden opportunity. I used all my strength to push into the middle of the crowd. Standing right in front of the staff member, everyone shut up. I bellowed with all the power in my lungs. This sudden appearance made the crowd go silent, out of shock. I pointed toward the mother holding the crying child and shouted at all the passengers. Look, just look at how much this child is crying. If we just stand here arguing like crazy, is the plane going to take off any faster? The airline is clearly in the wrong, and they obviously have to take responsibility. But what do we need most right now? Everyone think about what's most urgent. It's food, it's a place to rest. We need to save our strength, so we have enough energy to demand our rights to the end. I turned around to look at the staff member who was about to collapse, staring straight at that poor girl, and spoke at lightning speed. Everyone is very agitated. The most urgent thing right now is to calm them down. Issue the meal vouchers and hotel vouchers immediately. Let everyone get some food in them first, and let them settle into their accommodations. Otherwise, if this blows up, can you even handle the responsibility? I've been telling them that forever. That meal and hotel vouchers can be issued right now. But they won't listen. The staff member explained in frustration. Everyone just get in line. Show your boarding pass and you'll get it immediately. The situation is already this heated, and you still want to stick strictly to procedure. I interrupted her. I pointed at the mother holding her baby. Look at how exhausted this mother is, carrying her child and waiting for 8 hours. And now you're forcing her to wait in line, just to get your cheap meal voucher. I turned and spoke to the mother. Ma'am, give me your boarding pass. I'll get it for you. I held out my hand with a decisive aura that allowed no refusal. The mother, seeing a lifeline, immediately pressed the card into my hand. Once someone takes the lead, the effect is clear. Immediately, several others who were with the elderly, children, or passengers who looked completely drained started doing the same. They took turns stuffing their boarding passes into my hand. Me too, take mine. In the blink of an eye, my hand was holding over 10 boarding passes. I turned toward the ground staff, holding the stack of cards in front of her. I lowered my voice and said, hurry up and settle these emergency cases first. Anyway, it's better than letting this hit the news, right? Give me 2 extra meal vouchers, and I'll help you calm down these people with kids. It's a win-win for both sides to save face. The ground staff looked at me with immense gratitude. Her hands moved quickly across the computer keys. Then she pulled out a stack of meal vouchers, counted out a few, corresponding to the number of boarding passes in my hand, then quickly pulled out 2 more, clipped them together and handed them to me. Her eyes were filled with thankfulness. My heart was pounding, but on the outside, I remained as calm as ever. Ma'am, take your baby to eat quickly, and you too, big bro. Take this. I quickly distributed the corresponding vouchers, along with the boarding passes to everyone. My movements were incredibly swift. Finally, I took the 2 extra meal vouchers and stuffed them deep into my inner pocket. I shouted out to the crowd, everyone take your vouchers and go eat first. Rest up to preserve your strength. Come back and settle the score with them later. While the crowd was busy receiving their meal vouchers, I acted like a slippery eel, slipping out of the crowd in the blink of an eye and disappearing into the terminal's crowded corridors. To survive in this game, you have to know how to maneuver and find loopholes, better than the average person. As soon as I left the waiting room, I bumped into Wu Qi again. He wore a smile that looked kind and sincere, saying, "Number 66, I've seen what you can do. Earlier, you negotiated just like a boss in the movies. Are you really not considering teaming up with us? On the road ahead, perhaps we'll need to support each other." In just one day, he had already managed to recruit 4 more players to his side. I still intended to refuse his invitation. Using the meal vouchers to have a filling meal, my hunger stat was temporarily replenished. But then sleepiness hit me like a tidal wave. My energy stat had fallen below 50%. It's now 11 p.m. The people in the airport have significantly thinned out. Most shops are starting to close, and the lights have become dim. An indescribable, eerie atmosphere begins to spread. The terminal seats all have armrest dividers, preventing anyone from lying down flat. There was a young player who probably couldn't hold out any longer. He wrapped himself in a thin jacket and curled up on the ground, trying to catch some shut-eye. Less than 2 minutes pass before a bright light beamed directly into his face. "Wake up, lying down is not allowed here." The security guard's voice was cold and emotionless. That young player ignored him. This NPC-like guy just turned over to go back to sleep. Suddenly, a group of guards rushed out from a corner. Without saying a word, they used force to hoist him up and threw him straight out of the airport gates. On the game's public screen, an announcement was broadcast. Player number 13 disqualified for leaving the game area. Debt recorded 1 million RMB. Immediately after, players in other areas were also disqualified. In the same manner, the system is using exhaustion and the cold to squeeze out the last bit of the player's sanity. By now, my energy stat was at a red alert level. To avoid being kicked out of the game, I wrapped the torn blanket around myself, sat on a waiting room chair, and started to drift off. The sunlight of the second day appeared like a wake-up call for us. Only one day of the game has passed. My stamina stat barely managed to crawl back up to 75%. But my hunger and thirst stats hit rock bottom at 50% again. I still have 1 meal voucher on me, so I'm not in much of a hurry. I took a sip of plain water, ate 2 sugar packets for now, and continued toward the departure lounge to go hunting. A player suddenly rushed out, snatching a hot sausage right out of a child's hand. The child then burst into miserable wailing. Security heard the news and rushed in immediately, surrounding that player and throwing him into a police car outside the airport. Game over. Right at that moment, the system's loudspeaker rang out again. Player number 25 robbed an NPC of food, so security kicked him out of the airport. Disqualified with a debt of 1 million. I suddenly realized a truth in this airport. Whatever you do, you absolutely must not alert the security guards. However, the airport today is very strange. There wasn't a single flight delayed until 10:30 p.m. The delayed flights I was banking on. Perchance the loophole I slipped through has been patched by the system. That whole day I just loitered in the lobby, like a normal passenger, showing up at every shop that offered free samples. Of course, I only ate and didn't buy, leeching food while cautiously watching the staff's expressions. As soon as they realized my intention to eat for free, I would quickly make my escape. Like that, I held out until late at night. For dinner, I used my last remaining meal voucher, filling up my hungry stomach. Things went on like that. This time, I didn't choose to sleep makeshift on the waiting chairs anymore. I slipped into a dark side passage. At the end of the corridor was the prime territory I had scouted during the day. An abandoned equipment room with its door slightly ajar. Inside the room was cluttered with junk. But just by closing the door, I'd have a private world. I had just stepped into the equipment room and hadn't even had time to shut the door tight when a loud thud rang out. Someone had kicked the equipment room door open. Walking in was a lanky guy with slanted eyes who looked terrifying. Following him were 2 punks who looked very aggressive. "Beat it. This place belongs to us." The lanky guy barked right in my face. I had a bit of an impression of this guy yesterday at the bakery. He was the most ferocious one fighting for food. He even blatantly robbed bread from the hands of 2 other players. Knowing I shouldn't mess with this type of person, I decided to give up this safe haven. However, just as I reached the door, the lanky guy suddenly pulled out a knife to threaten me. "How much money and food do you have? Cough it all up, or else I'll gut you." The madness and cruelty in their eyes told me that they meant what they said. My mind started working at full capacity. In a fistfight, I'd definitely lose. But giving up the money means disqualification and being burdened with a 1 million debt. What should I do? What should I do? I swallowed hard and lowered my voice. "Big bro, let's talk this out slowly. Robbery will get you disqualified by the system immediately. Stop blabbering and move your hands faster. I don't have any patience." The fruit knife pressed even closer to my neck. Within 2 minutes, I had to drop my resistance, decisively transferring all 50 RMB in my account to him. Only by surviving in this game will I have a chance to earn that 1 million. The lanky guy snatched the money and shoved me out. They slammed the door shut. I could hear the sound of triumphant laughter echoing from inside. Direct robbery really is the quickest way. Good thing he told us that stealing money wouldn't get us disqualified. This time we don't have to worry about lacking cash. Who is this he they were talking about? Robbing NPCs is forbidden, but robbing players, or even killing them, is completely viable. Who could possibly know the game rules like the back of their hand? Like that, it's only the second day, and I've lost every last bit of my 50 RMB. No money, no food. Am I just supposed to lie down and wait for death? A moment later, on the public bulletin board, another anonymous voice spoke up. Head to the bakery in Area A, 3rd floor immediately. The bread here is 50% off. The equipment room door opened. The lanky guy and his lackey stepped out. I quickly hid in a corner and silently trailed them toward the convenience store. Those three pulled all the money they just stole, totaling 128 RMB. They bought crackers, lots and lots of plain crackers. Right after the beep announced a successful payment, the system immediately broadcasted to the entire game players number 5, 49 and 61 are disqualified for overspending. They must bear a debt of 1 million RMB. The lanky guy let out a miserable scream. Before his cry even ended, his entire body vanished into thin air like a flash of light. The two lackeys with him vanished as well, leaving behind dozens of bags of crackers and 4 or 5 bags of bread scattered on the ground. I immediately rushed over, took off my jacket, and carefully wrapped up the pile of crackers and bread. I bundled everything tightly inside my coat. As expected, my guess was right. From the start, the system said overspending would lead to disqualification, but everyone's account only had 50 RMB. If you only have 50 RMB, how can it be called overspending? How could you possibly spend beyond the limit? There was only one possibility: by stealing money from others and spending beyond the 50 RMB limit. Initially will be counted as overspending. But earlier, that lanky guy robbed bread at the bakery, yet he wasn't disqualified immediately. This proves that robbing food from others is fine. It can be predicted that in the next few days, more people will see through this loophole in the rules. They will tear each other apart to fight for food. Therefore, I must hide this food supply very carefully. With this pile of food in my hands, I'm confident I can hold out until the game ends. So I found 5 places I considered the safest to split up the crackers for hiding. Each day, I just need to get food from one spot to be able to survive. Through the remaining 5 days, once everything was done, my stamina stat had dropped significantly. I sat back down on a waiting room chair and drifted off. The game entered the 3rd day. An unexpected scene drew everyone's attention. It was player number 47, a girl who looked very slim and frail. She was curled up on a cold metal bench, her whole body trembling violently. Her face was flushed from prolonged coughing fits, and even her lips began to turn a sickly purple. Her boyfriend, who was also a fellow player, showed clear signs of disgust. "What's wrong with you? With a fever like this, how can you last until day 7? Player 47's voice was hoarse and weak, mixed with heavy nasal congestion. "I feel so cold, I feel terrible inside. Adung, can you hold me for a moment?" "No way, what if you infect me?" Suddenly, a piercing alarm blared out, echoing throughout the terminal. Without any prior warning, heavy rhythmic footsteps rang out from the end of the corridor. Quarantine staff in pure white, protective suits, easily restrained and dragged player 47 away. "Let me go, I don't want to be disqualified." "Adung, save me, save me." But Adung didn't even spare her a single glance. He turned and ran, vanishing from sight. The quarantine staff ignored number 47's wails. They pushed the stretcher away before the terrified eyes of many other players, quickly disappearing at the end of the corridor. A few seconds later, the system's loudspeaker blared. Player number 47, causing a serious threat to public health and safety, has been forcibly removed from the game area. For isolation, debt 1 million RMB. Forcibly removed from the game area for isolation processing. Disqualified with a debt of 1 million RMB. Debt 1 million RMB. Player number 87, causing a serious threat to public health and safety, slapped with a debt of 1 million RMB. Debt 1 million RMB. Forcibly removed from the game area for isolation processing. Forcibly removed from the game area for isolation processing. Disqualified with a debt of 1 million RMB. The players looked at each other in confusion, their eyes filled with suspicion. Number 87 was rummaging through the trash for food yesterday. Today, he's got acute diarrhea. Catching a cold is bad news, but diarrhea is just as deadly. I traded water for food in the group. Who will be next? A slight cough nearby, or even just clearing one's throat, was enough to make people's hearts skip a beat in terror. I've learned yet another rule. You absolutely cannot get sick. Even a minor cold or mild diarrhea will get you kicked out of the game area. I managed to hold out for another day, thanks to the bread and crackers I scavenged. Today, the airport temperature dropped even lower. It's no different from an open-air ice cellar. I was lucky enough to find a professional thermal survival blanket in the trash. Wrapping it around myself, I finally felt a bit of warmth. Time has moved into the 4th day. The number of disqualified players is increasing daily. Waking up early in the morning, I decided to go retrieve today's ration of bread and crackers. I skillfully avoided the crowds, and headed toward my first hiding spot. It was located behind a secluded restroom, right in the gap between the base of a giant potted plant and the wall. Approaching it, I squatted down and reached into that familiar crevice to search. Empty. There was absolutely nothing left inside. My heart tightened. Refusing to accept it, I carefully searched through it once more. Not even a single scrap of a cracker wrapper could be found. Without time to overthink, I rushed to the next location. Still nothing. Still completely empty. All 4 of my stashed spots had been wiped clean. Dozens of bags of crackers, soda, and life-saving bread vanished overnight, without a trace. The winning hand I thought I had was suddenly flipped upside down. Someone who could find every single hiding spot in one night and quietly clear them out is definitely no ordinary player. Just who has been stalking me this whole time? My mood immediately plummeted into the abyss. I had to swallow my pride and find free sample stalls again. But the number of players fighting for samples was growing by the minute. The players scrambling for free food were swarming like a massive army. The shop owners had started to become wary. They hid all the samples away, and even the entire condiment counter at the cafe was completely bare. The sugar packets had been cleared away by the staff. As for the trash cans, they had now become strategic territories that everyone wanted to claim. Many players were still willing to risk diarrhea just to scavenge through trash. They were digging through garbage to find food. By the time I went to look, not even a leftover crumb remained. Just like that, I struggled until 10 p.m. On the 4th day of the game, I held on until 10 p.m. on day 4. My survival stats were all flashing red alert. Every one of my body's stats had hit the danger zone. I headed toward the luxury brand boutiques inside the airport. Some players standing nearby were whispering, "This guy's probably about to get disqualified. He's definitely getting kicked out of the game soon. What's the point of going into a luxury store like that?" But rummaging through the trash near that luxury shop, I scavenged a few paper bags and boxes that people had tossed away. Many passengers wanting to avoid taxes. Lots of tourists trying to dodge taxes, to bypass customs regulations, often choose to throw away the packaging at the airport. Before departure, they decide to leave all the packaging behind at the airport. On the 4th day, I carefully tucked a box into the paper bag that was in the best condition. Perfect. Day 4. I carried the classy luxury bag in my hand before heading down to the departure hall on the 1st floor. While scouting the layout earlier, I discovered a hot pot restaurant still open there, so now I plan to drop in, looking for a free place to rest and maybe score some free food while I'm at it. Pushing open the thick glass door, the warmth and the mouth-watering scent of spicy beef hot pot base filled the space. A waitress with a sweet smile ran over to greet me. "Welcome. How many in your party?" "Just 2. I held the prominent luxury bag in my hand and casually placed it on the chair next to me. As I set it down, I spoke with a hoarse voice that hinted at a subtle exhaustion. That was hard to miss. "Find me a quiet spot. I'm waiting for someone." The waitress's eyes quickly flicked over the bag in my hand. "Yes, sir. Please come this way." Someone who buys this much luxury gear could never be a broke loser looking for a free meal. She led me to a private area. It was a row of soft cushioned sofas in an extremely discreet space. As soon as I sat down, I immediately pulled out my phone, my fingers flying across the screen. I dialed a completely fake number. The moment the call connected, I started speaking in a choked voice as if about to cry. My voice echoed through the quiet space of the restaurant. "I'm waiting for you at the airport hot pot shop. I bought a ticket to Paris, the 3 a.m. flight. If you don't show up, then don't you dare think about ever seeing me again." I slammed the phone down on the table, my eyes instantly reddening as tears welled up. The waitress rushed over, bringing out a steaming bowl of hot white fungus soup, along with a small fruit platter. Her voice was as gentle as honey in my ears. There, please don't be so upset. Have some sweets to warm your stomach and soothe your throat. Your girlfriend must have really offended you, hasn't she?" I replied with a nasal tone full of grievance. "Thank you. Just thinking about him being with his white moonlight right now, I've completely lost my appetite." The waitress placed the bowl of soup in front of me. "The sadder you are, the more you need to eat. You have to eat your fill to have the strength to wait for her to regret it and come back to chase after you. If you don't eat, how will you have the strength to wait for the chasing the wife in the crematorium scene? You have to eat to face this betrayal." I nodded slightly and took the bowl from her hands, taking small sips. The warm, sweet liquid flowed down my parched throat. The hunger in my stomach was screaming violently, but right now I absolutely had to restrain myself very quickly. After that, the waitress brought over another bowl of free steamed eggs. I quietly stood up and headed toward the condiment bar, scooping 3 large spoonfuls of minced beef and quickly dumping them into the bowl of steamed eggs. I returned to my seat, struggling to suppress the urge to devour it all. Immediately, I used my most elegant manner to eat one small bite at a time, maintaining that classy look while nibbling away, all while using a wary side eye to watch the waitstaff and the manager. Right now, the servers were acting like human radars. "Sir, I noticed you seem to be in a bad mood. Would you like to try some tomato soup? Our shop's new tomato soup. The sweet and sour flavor is very appetizing, sir." so a bowl of tomato soup with eye-catching colors was placed grandly in front of me. Let me get you some more snacks, okay? A plate of free French fries was brought out. Immediately after, the waitress passed by once again, with eyes full of curiosity, gossip, and sympathy. Clearly, she was more anxious than I was. Alarm bells rang loudly in my head. She was checking in way too often. I immediately switched to deep acting mode. Tears once again welled up in the corners of my eyes. My voice trembled with utter despair. Does she really not need me anymore? In reality, I had no intention of leaving at all. I chose the right moment to hang my head low, my shoulders starting to shake violently. Oh my god. You poor thing. Please don't cry. Don't cry. The waitress panicked, immediately grabbing a giant teddy bear and shoving it into my arms. Let this bear stay by your side, okay? You're such a handsome guy. She will definitely regret this. As for me, holding the soft teddy bear, exhaustion hit me like a crashing wave. My stamina stat was flashing red. I absolutely had to rest. I secretly set a vibration alarm for 2 a.m. Then, in a state of total exhaustion, clutched the bear tightly, curled up on the soft sofa, and squeezed my eyes shut before my consciousness faded. I silently prayed not to get kicked out. I don't know how long I slept, but the waitress suddenly woke me up. Excuse me, sir. Isn't your flight about to take off soon? My phone also started vibrating crazily. It was the alarm I had set, quick as a flash. I grabbed the phone, without even looking at the screen display, for a call, and shouted the prepared lines into the receiver. I've waited for you at this hot pot shop for 4 hours, and you still refuse to show up. Why is that guy so important to you? I'm leaving. I'm really leaving. Can't you just come and see me one last time? I slammed the phone down and buried my face in the teddy bear. In the eyes of outsiders, I looked like I was silently sobbing my heart out. The manager stopped in his tracks and slightly shook his head in pity. The dedicated waitress even brought me a blanket. And so I slept through the night on that large sofa. Early the next morning, as I prepared to leave, the waitress specifically brought out soy milk, along with porridge and fried eggs. All of it was free food. Her eyes were full of encouragement. Hang in there. Just forget that unfaithful person. You'll meet someone much better. Congratulations on starting over, because I hadn't spent a single cent. Thanks a lot. Naturally, there was no need to pay. Thank you, I whispered my thanks, and turned to walk out the glass doors. My stamina stats were fully restored, and my hunger bar was completely filled. This tactic was honestly a bit shameless. Plus, it could only be used exactly once, and I had just played that trump card. Soon enough, the game moved into the 5th day. Just as I stepped out of the hot pot shop, I ran into Wuzi's group. His gang had now expanded to over 20 people. They were sharing bags of soda crackers. I saw the packaging of those crackers, and my mind felt like it exploded with a bang. My head was completely spinning. Those were exactly the crackers I had lost. I had intentionally torn a corner of the wrapper as a mark, and I was fuming with rage. I marched up to Wuzi. You're the one who stole my crackers. Don't be so hot-headed. I told you to join my team early on, but you just wouldn't listen. Give me back my crackers. Look at my teammates. Do you think they want to give them back to you? Hump. Wuji pointed at the 20-plus pairs of eyes behind him, all of them showing blatant greed. I snatched the cracker he offered, took a step back, and asked if I could still join them. To stock up on food. I asked again, is it too late to join survival food number 66? You're too late. Wuju smiled cryptically, his face looking kind but actually being very cunning. This game from the very beginning was never meant for those who walk alone. Players can only hope to survive by forming gangs to plunder resources from others. You have no money and no food, no value left to be exploited at all. So your only option is to be disqualified. Do you have any last words here? Right then, the system suddenly issued a new directive, announcing, dear players, welcome to the 5th day of the race. To add more drama to the game, starting today, all water dispensers in the airport will stop working. The water source in the restrooms has been contaminated. It is absolutely undrinkable. Warning, the water source is polluted. Direct drinking is strictly prohibited. Repeating, the water source in the restroom area is unsafe to use. Players on the global chat began swearing up a storm. How are we supposed to live without water? Did the game devs lose their minds? Trying to kill us off. What the hell is this? So, planning to send us to meet our ancestors early. No water, no game. Rage exploded across all information channels. Damn it, is this game trying to squeeze us dry? You bastards are pushing us too far. Want us to die of thirst, you? Damn robbers. No water and still 3 days left until the end. The next 3 days will be hell on earth. Are you really trying to play us to death? The members of Wuji's team also started to panic. Fear completely overshadowing the brief joy of just receiving food. Water is a vital commodity, even more critical than food. However, Wuji didn't seem worried at all. He raised his hand to calm the chaos, his voice remaining calm as if unbothered. What's the big deal? It's just water. He shot a sidelong glance at me, then continued addressing the group of players. The other players still have water. Just go rob them and you'll have it all. My heart tightened, but it was too late to run away. Over 20 pairs of bloodshot eyes instantly locked onto me. In the middle of the crowd, like hounds catching a scent of blood, they aggressively lunged at me. Let go! This is my stuff, like. I desperately clung to my backpack. But a lone tiger is no match for a pack of wolves. The backpack straps were brutally ripped off, and the zipper was torn wide open. The 2 heavy mineral water bottles in my hands were violently snatched away. A few measly candy packets inside also, scattered all over the floor. And in a blink, they were scavenged clean by the crowd. I was shoved and tumbled to the ground. Wuju said coldly, "Not taking your life is already merciful enough. Now beat it." I scrambled to my feet and bolted, not just to avoid that shameless jerk, but to go scramble for water. I had to make a move before everyone else could react to reach that place. The liquid disposal area regulated by airport security. Containers for liquids carried on person must not exceed a capacity of 100 milliliters. At the security gate, passengers would discard various mineral waters, soft drinks, and juices into large trash bins placed nearby, or collection baskets. Right now at the terminal, right by the domestic security gate, there were 3 transparent plastic bins, half a person tall, with massive capacities. Inside, they were filled with the half-finished mineral water bottles, and even some bottles that hadn't been opened yet. Meanwhile, 2 security guards were standing watch nearby. Directly raiding the bins was clearly not viable, and would likely trigger a security alarm. I couldn't wait any longer. The opportunity only comes in a flash. My expression immediately shifted to a state of extreme anxiety as I hurried toward the security gate, targeting those plastic bins. "Please let me through for a second." My voice was hoarse as I whimpered and squeezed through the line, successfully catching the security guard's attention. "Sir, please stay in line." A guard frowned and stopped me. I'm so sorry, sir." I babbled with an air of panic that was as authentic as possible. I pointed at the plastic bin and said my ring seemed to have fallen in there. "It's an heirloom my grandmother left me. Please just let me look for a second. Just one moment. I'm begging you." As I spoke, tears streamed down, looking incredibly earnest. The security guard froze for a moment, then stepped slightly aside. "Make it quick. Don't hold up the people in line behind you." "Thank you, sir." I thanked him profusely and immediately rushed toward the disposal bins to avoid bothering anyone. I pulled a few trash bags into a corner to rummage through. I stealthily grabbed 3 large trash bags from the bin, quickly retreating to a corner, out of the guard's line of sight. Oh man, with this much water, I can definitely hold out for the next 3 days. I quickly cleared out one bag, stuffed all the unopened bottles inside, and walked briskly away from the security area. My heart was pounding like it was about to explode. In my chest, I didn't dare stop, and ran straight into a handicapped restroom that was fairly deserted nearby. After bolting the door, I knew I absolutely couldn't let other players know that I alone possessed this much water. I stood up on the toilet, lifted the ceiling tile of the restroom, and hid a portion of the water up in the ceiling. Afterward, I went back out to find other crevices to hide the rest of the water. Once everything was stashed away, I ran back toward the security gate of the international terminal to repeat the same trick. I managed to secure a large amount of clean water again, still hiding it carefully in the old spot. It's not that I'm greedy, it's just that I have a bigger plan in mind. Those guys are no different from a swarm of locusts. Wherever they go, they scavenge and extort water and food from other players. They won't even spare a single piece of a cracker. If anyone dares to resist, they'll immediately launch into a physical beatdown on that person, while the system staff act like they don't even see this violence. No guards have stepped in to stop it. Suddenly, a loud thud echoed. A player collapsed to the ground due to low blood sugar. Not long after, that person lay motionless. They'd already kicked the bucket. The other players asked each other in horrific panic. Several people in white coats appeared with a stretcher, quickly lifting the player onto it and covering them with a white sheet. It all happened so fast in the blink of an eye, right after the system began announcing again. The survival stats of player number 93 have hit 0, disqualified with a debt of 1 million. Today, the number of disqualified players announced was unusually high. The number of remaining survivors is plummeting insanely. I need to find a suitable target for an alliance, to build a 5-man squad strong enough to face those bastards. In my head, the faces I've observed over the past few days flashed by like a movie. A few figures lingered in my mind. It's a small group of 6 people, led by player number 48, who seems very cunning. The other members also have their own traits, all being young men with sturdy physiques. I went to the main hall and found them. I stood and observed for a while, realizing their condition wasn't looking too good. The lips of one guy among them had started to crack, while another kept constantly licking his lips. Clearly they are extremely thirsty. The time has come. I carried the luxury bag and approached them. "Hi everyone. My name is Lisha. I'm player number 66. I want to join your team." Number 48 stood up abruptly, looking at me with vigilance. "Oh wait, we're not taking any more people." I held the bag out in front of him. Inside were 3 bottles of water. Everyone's eyes lit up instantly. I made a straightforward offer. "I have a safe water source. that can guarantee basic drinking water for the whole team. In exchange, I want to join you guys and share your food. How much water do you have? If we're frugal, is it enough for 7 people to hold out for the next 3 days? No problem. Hearing that, player number 33 quickly chimed in to ask, his eyes full of scrutiny. I flatly refused to answer any further. You only need to know that I have a way to get water, and I'm willing to share it with the team. That's enough. Only I know the hiding spot for the water. This is my trump card. Number 48 turned his head, quickly exchanging glances with his teammates. All right, Yuan. Welcome to the team. I'm Lumo. Now that you're in our group, the rule is absolutely no betraying your teammates. Number 48 finally made a decision. He reached out and shook my hand. I nodded in response. Glad to be working with you. I had used water to trade for a meal. Amidst an air of satisfaction, the dawn of the 6th day brought not hope, but an even deeper sense of despair. I headed toward the security checkpoint alone, hoping to scrounge some more water, but I saw 5 guards standing watch over there. They were staring intently at those trash bins. Looks like the system has blocked off my lifeline again. The last stable water source has finally been cut off. Players who had to endure thirst all day yesterday couldn't take it anymore and drank the restroom water. The virus took them down immediately. They've all been disqualified from the game. Right then, the airport loudspeakers suddenly blared, without any warning. Tonight, the resting area rentals. Everyone has been scammed. The global chat screen instantly exploded with curses and despair. This trash system. First, it shuts off the water source, and now it incites players to slaughter each other. So devious. Rage was reaching its peak. This demonic system just wants all of us to end up buried in debt. This trash system wants to turn everyone into debtors. This system clearly wants to force us into debt. Everyone is being played by it. First, it cut the water, and now it's setting up a game for players to kill each other. Truly sinister. Everyone calm down. Terminal T3. Right now is no different from walking into a death trap. Panic quickly spread. Among the player groups, Wuji's group is the largest. They have the highest probability of seizing the emergency supply crate. There are only 45 people left, and Wuji's side alone takes up 25 slots. Wuji's group is dominating with 25 members. That means for the remaining 20 people, unless a miracle happens to their survival stats, midnight tonight will be Judgment Day. Everyone will be disqualified. En masse, we absolutely cannot let that shameless person get his hands on the supply crate. Lumo's gaze fixed on me. Yuan, you tell us. How can the poor and lowly overturn the board in this dead end? The survival path of the poor has never been about meeting force with force. It's about knowing how to bend the rules, finding loopholes to create chaos, and then fishing in troubled waters. The first emergency supply crate has appeared at the staff lounge on level B2 of Terminal T3. Sure enough, footsteps echoed from the distance. That shameless gang was making a scene, heading straight toward Terminal T3. Lumo prepared to lead the team away. Don't let them beat us to it. Wait a sec. I held him back. The location is the staff lounge. Do you know what that place implies? I paused for a moment. That first supply crate is definitely a trap. It'll cause the early birds to get disqualified first. The system locked the free water purifiers and set guards over the trash bins. All of it is to reinforce the NPC's rules. No one is allowed to violate this iron discipline. The staff area is a restricted zone. Ordinary players basically can't enter. Once you recklessly charge in, the system will absolutely rule it as an illegal intrusion, and you'll be disqualified immediately. So will Wuju send people to just barge in? Yo, I don't think he's that stupid. I told Aja and Xiaomin to scout the situation. They just reported back. Sure enough, Wuju didn't let his teammates enter the restricted zone. Instead, he split his forces to guard every path leading to the staff lounge. His tactic is a blockade, not letting anyone else get it. But he himself isn't dumb enough to touch that. Hot potato. As long as he keeps other players from getting their hands on the essentials, his team will still hold the advantage. A few solo players are lingering on the edge of the area, their eyes both desperate and crazed. Their survival stats must be hitting rock bottom. They're getting disqualified tonight, no matter what. These are the easiest people to exploit, hiding behind a pillar. I lowered my voice to discuss with my teammates. The keycard for the staff lounge is inside the fire cabinet right next to it. Are you for real? The system left it there on purpose. Keep it down. Those lowlifes are guarding the door over there. We'll wait for the right moment before grabbing the card. A solo player, standing by the pillar, happened to overhear everything. He immediately acted like he'd found a lifeline and lunged straight for that fire cabinet. Level B2, block him. Wuji barked the order, but it was too late. That player had already ripped open the glass door of the fire cabinet with one hand. Inside, there wasn't a single keycard. He had triggered the alarm, and then a piercing fire alarm siren echoed throughout the 2 B-level basements. Almost simultaneously, 6 heavily armed security guards, clutching restraint poles, appeared as if out of thin air. The scene instantly turned into pure chaos. The guards didn't care who had opened the cabinet. Wuju's entire squad, along with the player who smashed the glass, were all forcibly driven out by the restraint poles. The disqualification announcement rang out immediately after. Wuju lost 5 men in the blink of an eye, leaving his lineup with only 20 people, with the supply crate unretrieved. They basically came up empty-handed. Right at this moment, the second supply crate was unlocked at Terminal T3 Terminal T3. The second emergency supply crate has appeared. Entrance to the VIP Lounge, Level 3L Terminal T3. The VIP Lounge entrance. That place usually has a reception desk and dedicated service staff. The space is much more luxurious, and the security is significantly tighter. We observed from a distance. The elevator leading to the Level 3 LVIP area was already being strictly guarded by Wuju's men, and on the tea table in the middle of the VIP lounge hall, the silver supply crate looked incredibly prominent. What do we do now? Even getting close is hard, Xiaomin said anxiously. I handed my phone to Xiaomin. Take this and bring it to the Lost and Found counter. Why are you making me take your stuff to Lost and Found, Turkey? Xiaomin asked in shock. Just go when I say go, hurry up. I urged her. Xiaomin had no choice but to take my phone and hand it over to the Lost and Found. Half an hour later, I walked up to the Lost and Found counter, looking extremely anxious as I asked. I lost a phone and a VIP lounge access card as well. While wandering around the airport on Level 3, I had also stood waiting outside the VIP lounge on Level 3 hoping to find something to eat. I had noticed that the passengers entering there all used a black VIP card to swipe into the door. In an airport this huge, I didn't believe no one had dropped a VIP card. I absolutely didn't believe that no one had ever lost a VIP card. I described the phone's appearance and the VIP card to the staff on duty. That staff member actually found my phone, and it came along with a VIP card too. Are these the 2 items? That's right. Yes, those are the ones. Yes, it's them again. I nervously took the phone and the card. Thank you so much. Xiaowu, wait a sec. You need to provide some proof. While others were distracting the staff, I took the chance to use Face ID to unlock the phone and silently snapped a photo of the card. Once finished, I showed it to the staff. Look, my face can unlock the VIP card info on the phone, and I just took a picture of it right here. After verifying there were no errors, the staff let me go. After confirmation was complete, they let me leave. I headed to the VIP reception area. Just then, a group of passengers was about to enter. The VIP room has a dedicated electric shuttle to take them right to the door. I took the opportunity to hop on the shuttle, nestling myself right among the passengers to dodge Wuju's watchful eyes. Yep, just like that. I boldly walked straight to the VIP lounge entrance. The security guard took the card and swiped it through the machine. A green light flashed on. Welcome, Platinum member. Please come in. The moment the door opened, Wuju, who had been watching the VIP lounge this whole time, suddenly screamed at the top of his lungs. He definitely stole that card. I cursed him out in my head. This fat old man is truly sinister. Lumo led our people into a clash with Wuju's men. Right at the elevator doors. 6 against 10 wasn't a total wash. Taking advantage of the chaos, I quickly slipped through the glass doors and grabbed the supply crate. The system notification sounded like heavenly music. Congratulations to player number 66 for obtaining the supply crate. The items inside the supply crate can only be used by players designated by player number 66. Illegal looters will be unable to use them. The third emergency supply crate has been refreshed. Location above the central information desk in Terminal T3. It was an open platform. No cover, no traps, no restricted zones, and no VIP rules. This was a pure showdown of strength and speed. Wuju decisively stopped bickering and ordered his lackeys to quickly pivot their target to the information desk. With no one left guarding the VIP lounge entrance, I walked out clutching the crate. Opening it up, it was packed with essentials. Enough for the 7 of us to eat and drink for a day. As long as we fully restore our 3 survival stats tonight, we definitely won't be disqualified. Li Xuan, we owe this one to you. Other players were charging toward the third crate while we stood our ground. Insanely, charging our energy to fight for the final crate. Wuju had completely thrown off his fake mask, exposing his rawest violence. The remaining players and Wuji's goons clashed fiercely, fighting until heads rolled and blood spilled. In the end, the side with more numbers won. Wuji's gang gained the upper hand. The 7 of us stood from afar watching the drama unfold as they beat each other senseless, with only 1 crate. It wasn't enough to share among all of Wuji's cronies. The first crate was too hard to get. This time, I'm afraid his team's chances are looking grim. The system's countdown clock ticked away coldly and silently. 11:50 p.m. The air in the terminal was compressed to the absolute limit. The system's final tally process begins. Quá trình tổng kết hệ thống bắt đầu. Based on the aggregate ranking of your stats for hunger, thirst, and stamina. The following 20 players with the lowest stats will be disqualified. An emotionless electronic voice Read out each player's ID one by one. Except for our group of 7, every other solo player was completely wiped out. Even members of Wuju's own team did not escape just because one supply crate wasn't divided equally. In the end, only 13 people remained. As soon as the announcement ended, the entire airport fell into a deathly silence. 20 people, each worth 1 million, meaning the total prize pool is 20 million. But if all other players are eliminated, the final winner will bag that 20 million, plus the 100 million grand prize, totaling 120 million. This figure is enough to drive anyone insane. Wuju looked at us from a distance, a bloodthirsty glint appearing in his eyes. He licked his lips and told his cronies, "I don't want us to slaughter each other, but our team has more people and holds the advantage. Let's take out those 7 brats. Over there, then the 13 of us will split the 120 million prize pool." This is the most solid plan on our side. Lumo's expression became incredibly heavy. Everyone stay calm. Don't fall for the system's trap. Those shameless bastards will definitely team up to wipe us out first, so we absolutely cannot turn on each other. The 7 of us have to take down all 13 of them. Then we'll split the 120 million prize equally. This is the optimal move right now. Han Ding collapsed to the floor. How can we kill them? We're outnumbered. We're like fish on a chopping block right now. Maybe we should find a place to hide first and try to lure them into splitting up. I agree. I know a spot. The massacre has begun. The blood festival starts now. Good luck to you all. The countdown has been activated. The scent of blood has spread everywhere. The death hour has struck. In an instant, the atmosphere turned bone-chillingly cold. The airport doors slammed shut. The only exit had been blocked. A piercing siren rang out, but it didn't come from any loudspeaker. It transmitted directly into our brains. The passing travelers who were bustling about just moments ago, along with the staff and security, suddenly vanished without a trace. The vast Terminal T3 now only held 20 players. Our survival instincts had completely overridden our fear. The 7 of us hauled ass running for our lives. As soon as we lunged into the elevator, I frantically mashed the close button. Bam! The doors shut right in the faces of those ferocious, shameless bastards. Damn it, don't let them escape. Eliminate them, the money is ours. The elevator plummeted downward, taking us to the underground parking lot. The air here was hot and humid. The smell of gasoline and dust hit us right in the face. We immediately scattered like startled rats, each person finding their own hiding spot. Almost the exact second after we tucked ourselves away, just a blink after everyone had hidden, Wuzhi led his gang as they stormed into the garage. From the stairwell, 20 players hiding in a sprawling parking lot. As long as I can stall for time, I still have a chance to survive. I held my breath, pressing my body to the ground like a cold stone through the narrow gap under a car. I monitored the situation. Outside, player number 9 has been eliminated. 1 million has been transferred to the killer's account. Who was it? Who killed him? Was it someone from our own side? Immediately after, the sounds of brawling erupted again, along with Panding's pitiful screams. Not long after, the notification that Panding was disqualified came through. Players scattered throughout the parking lot. Every so often, blood-curdling screams rang out. The PA system continuously updated the list of the disqualified. Player number 21 was taken down by their own teammate. The situation became increasingly chaotic. The scene grew more out of control than ever before. A sense of suspicion began to envelop all the players. Trust between people was now a luxury, as fragile as mist. An announcement from the anonymous source rang out once more. Come here and take out that shameless guy. He's actually the champion from last season. The prize money he's holding is up to 200 million. Just eliminate him, and you'll get a cut of that massive sum. This news immediately set off the atmosphere in the parking garage. What do you mean, shameless? So he was last season's champion. No wonder this guy is such a monster. Damn it, we've been played. Wuzhi hurriedly tried to explain himself. Don't listen to that anonymous trash-talking nonsense. I'm just like you guys. This is my first time playing this game. But at this point, no one cared to believe him anymore. Facing such a massive profit, all logic crumbled in an instant. Just send him on his way, and we'll find out if there's 200 million or not. Just do it. Kill him. Kill him now. A violent free-for-all erupted once again. This time, everyone's eyes were red with greed as they lunged in, tearing each other apart like savages for that legendary 200 million prize. Taking advantage of the chaos, I found an unlocked car. I silently slipped into the dark space of the trunk. The brawl continued to rage outside. Everyone had gone mad for the money. They were slaughtering each other for that tempting 200 million figure. In the midst of the riot, I snuck into an unlocked car and hid deep inside that pitch-black trunk. I curled up and peered through a crack in the lid, listening to the agonizing screams constantly echoing outside, along with the cold announcements from the system. Time ticked away, minute by minute, second by second. The noise outside began to thin out, until one moment, the parking lot sank into a complete deathly silence. I cautiously peered through the crack to the outside, only to see bodies lying scattered everywhere. Right then, a familiar voice rang out. Li Xuan, hey Li Xuan. Where are you? It was Lumo's voice. I caught that shameless bastard. Come out now. Let's finish him off together. Then split that 200 million. Through the crack, I saw Lumo had tied Wuchi's hands and feet tightly. I held my breath, not daring to make a sound, or even give him a single reply. Lumo walked right past the front of the car I was hiding in. Just as I was about to breathe a sigh of relief, the very next second, the trunk was violently flipped open. Blinding blood-red light immediately flooded inside. Oh, so you were here. You made me look for so long. You really put me through a lot of trouble. The game of hide and seek is over. Number 66? Lumo's voice carried a disgusting mocking tone. Chilling fear instantly gripped my heart. Lumo grabbed me firmly and dragged me straight out of the trunk. You guys really are in the same gang. This so-called manhunt, the so-called confrontation between groups. It's all just a clumsy play that you guys staged. The goal was to use the rules to kill with a borrowed knife, wiping out every player in your way, so that in the end, only 2 people remain. You 2 get to split the entire prize pool. You guys are already too familiar with the rules of this game, using an anonymous identity to lead other players by the nose, robbing each other until exhaustion, while you guys just sit back and reap the benefits. You knew full well that the final day would definitely be a massacre. That's why Wuzhi focused on building a gang from the start, while Lumo intentionally stood on the opposite side, so that on the final day, the 2 teams would slaughter each other and you'd win big. Lumo flashed a meaningful smirk. Li Xuan, you're pretty smart. Thanks for everything these past few days. Wuzhi finally lost all patience. He let out a ferocious roar. Old Lu, let me go. Stop yapping with him. What are you waiting for? Just send him on his way. Lumo coldly glanced at Wuzhi. Let you go. Ha, are you kidding me? 2 people splitting 100 million isn't nearly as good as me swallowing it all solo. What's more, that 200 million you saved from the last round should belong to me too. Finishing his sentence, he made his move to eliminate his rival. Lumo flashed a cold smirk. Forgot to tell you, I'm the one who sent that final anonymous message. Player number 44 eliminated, announcing hidden reward. Player number 44 was the former champion. The accumulated amount of 200 million has been transferred to the final hunter's account. Right then, while Lumo was smugly admiring his spoils, I seized the moment and sprayed a bottle of super strong hairspray directly into Lumo's face. A stream of sticky glue hit his face with pinpoint accuracy. Lumo let out a pathetic howl. He clutched his face, stumbling back and doubling over in pain. Using both my hands and feet, I frantically scrambled toward the driver's seat. While I was hiding earlier, I had already confirmed it. This car didn't just have an unlocked trunk, but the driver's side door wasn't latched either, and the keys were still sitting in the ignition. Lumo screamed. Number 66, I'm going to skin you alive to satisfy my rage. Ignoring the pain, he lunged at me like a maddened lion. His hand grazed the top of my head and slammed hard into the leather of the driver's seat. My fingers touched the cold key. I gripped it tight and twisted. Vroom vroom. The engine let out a sudden roar, instantly waking up. Almost simultaneously, I slammed it into drive and used every ounce of my strength to floor the gas pedal. Lumo never expected the car to suddenly lunge forward. His body was hit by an immense force, tossing him into the air before he crashed hard onto the ground. But he still struggled to crawl back up. I slammed it into reverse and gunned it straight at him. Not long after, I painfully crawled out of the driver's seat, my entire body covered in grease and dust. There was no burst of extreme joy, only bone-deep exhaustion, and the feeling of being shattered after escaping death by a hair. The glowing red lights gradually faded, and the siren cut out. A flash of white light blinded me, and I reappeared in the illusory game world, as the cold system voice rang in my ears. You currently have 500 million in prize money. Live well. However, according to the regulations, the champion is not permitted to leave the game. Otherwise, you will carry a debt of 500 million. The white light slowly dissipated, and I saw people standing all around me. They were all wide-eyed with doubt and fear, observing their surroundings. Welcome 100 players to the poverty game. Starting capital is 50 RMB. The goal is to survive in the game for 7 days. The winner will receive a 1 million prize.